All right, malice has to do with desire to harm others or to see others suffer. Okay, tearing down is the opposite of building up, isn't it? Okay, so he says, laying aside all malice, all guile, hypocrisies, envies, and evil speakings. Okay, well, where we see an example of this with malice? How about Corinthians 14:20? Right, where Apostle Paul writes, "Brethren, be not children in understanding, howbeit in malice be you children, but in understanding be you men." Okay, or in other words, uh, you know, don't build with destructive with choices, which bring destruction upon others. Okay, or in other words, sharing, uh, you know, uh, those the various philosophies of the world and trying to convince people that that's Jesus. Okay, that tears down, doesn't it? Okay, because people put their hope in that knowledge, which comes to nothing because it lacks the witness of God. All right, the witness of God will not bear witness to Christ, right, in false knowledge. Even if that false knowledge comes, with the word Jesus, and it comes sprinkled with facts as concerning his earthly ministry and his death and his resurrection. All right, all right. Even with those things sprinkled throughout it, if it does not direct faith into the covenant of God, if it does not bring forth the regeneration of the soul, if it does not result in fruit bearing, if it does not result in sanctified contact with God, removing the offense, okay, so that we stand justified before God, and if it does not result in holiness, then it's a reprobate before God. Okay, that's malice. Right, so you don't want to embrace or promote those philosophies. All right, but in understanding be men. Okay, or in other words, uh, that you would labor with understanding, and you would teach understanding to others. Okay, assisting them in the knowledge of the covenant, assisting them with their walk of faith, assisting them, all right, in making good choices of faith, all right, which is what we do daily through the priesthood. Okay, this is charity. This is the work of charity. And when he talks about guile, all right, that has to do with the motives of the heart that are entwined with our own principle. Okay, when we use guile with false knowledge, then we walk contrary to God. Okay, that's the opposite of walking with God. All right, now you'll notice here that he's writing to Christians. Right, why would guile be present? Well, these were tools provided by Satan for the imagination. All right, there can be no spiritual growth apart from using the tools of the new covenant for overcoming our cycles of growth. Okay, so he is calling upon them, okay, to reflect back upon that original knowledge that they received. Okay, that incorruptible seed, remember from chapter 1, okay, that incorruptible seed that was sown within our hearts, okay, which first must be planted. Okay, it has to be hidden within the soil of the soul. Okay, that incorruptible seed, okay, is that from which the fruit of righteousness grows. We cannot mix strange seed in and expect there to be growth. Okay, the Spirit of God won't work with that. Okay, that we have to work only with the incorruptible seed. So he's calling them to reflect back upon that knowledge, all right, which they received. Okay, that you work only with the doctrine of Christ, all right, not mixing anything in with it, not seeking, to add anything to it or take anything away from it. Okay, but that you continue to reflect only upon these things that you received from the apostles. Um, and he goes on, as newborn babes, okay, desire the sincere milk of the word, that you may grow thereby. All right, and he says, as newborn babes, he's talking about foundational. Okay, this is that foundational knowledge. He says newborn because he is reminding them of our new birth into a new kingdom. All right, so don't build on your old foundation. Okay, keep in mind that which you received of us, which has not been mixed with principle or preached out of aspiration. Okay, that which you receive of us is pure. Okay, work only with that. Nothing needed to be added to it. It lacked nothing. Okay, the knowledge of Christ, which we received through his stewardship, is wholesome. Right, or in other words, meaning there's nothing needs to be added and there's nothing that needs to be taken away. Now, of course, as newborns, that can cause a little bit of indigestion, right? Because truth sets a challenge to the principle and the aspiration. All right. But as you continue to ingest truth, right, working with that knowledge, reflecting on that knowledge, all right, prayerfully studying that knowledge, okay, and using your faith with these tools, the grace of God continues to gain entrance, all right, and his peace will be present in order to settle the waters of the soul, okay, to to soothe that disturbance, okay, because grace and truth do have an impact upon the soul, okay, which disturb, they uproot things, okay, um, that which has to be removed and destroyed, okay, gets shaken up, and that can be very unsettling to the soul because remember the soul was born into the kingdom of darkness, okay, and the soul had become very accustomed, all right, to that, to those tools and those philosophies that you were embracing, okay, and they were very natural to you, okay, they were sympathetic to your own, to your own experiences, and those are the things that you molded with. So you were comfortable with those things, even though they were fruitless, okay, and even though they brought vanity and vexation, they were at least familiar to you. Okay, well now you're learning of a new kingdom. Okay, this new kingdom which we're not familiar with. Okay, we have to learn of this, the kingdom of light. Okay, there's new tools involved. There's new knowledge involved. There's restrictions. Okay, which we weren't aware of. Okay, that bring faith within Christ. Okay, that clearly define what it is to be within and without Christ. Okay, that we have to be an observant of these restrictions, observance of these things. All right, and as we do so, all right, we are conforming, and we are conforming our faith to Christ, and we are confirming Christ in this knowledge and in these tools. Okay, that we begin to see growth, don't we? All right, and this is a newborn. Okay, he says, desire the sincere milk of the word. Okay, that you may grow thereby. Well, this is how we grow. We grow by exercising our faith with these things. All right. But a lot of people who are new to the knowledge of Christ, okay, they want to try to use their past experiences as a fulcrum for discernment. All right. They want to judge truth according to their own experience, right? As if God set the fulcrum for discernment, okay, and the pillar of truth within them, right, in order to judge things. Okay, well he didn't. Okay, he does that through his stewardship. Okay? He makes known his standard, okay, through his stewardship, that we may receive the foundation of his truth for discernment. And you can't discern truth by error. Okay, you can't stand in error and decide whether or not truth is of value or not. Okay, because you've got no basis for judgment. Um, so we have to embrace truth, don't we? Okay, we have to embrace truth, which requires a humbling of the will. Okay, there's a humbling of the will and submission to the headship of Christ, that we receive His truth. Okay, with the authority of Christ. Right? This is the knowledge of Christ, and why would we do that? Because God bears witness to this knowledge. Right? As we heard of these things, okay, we recognize the voice of God bearing witness to Christ in these things. Right? And it is in submission to that voice that we embrace this knowledge. Right? And as we do so, right, we find out that yes, this is Christ. Okay, that voice that we've listened to, okay, has directed us into Christ, and that this knowledge is profitable for faith. And it's not just profitable for faith today, it's profitable for faith tomorrow and next month and next year and for year after year after year after year. Okay, and perpetually, actually, even after the rapture of the church, right? After the millennium kingdom and into the baptism of light, okay, for a perpetual increase, right? This knowledge prepares our hearts uh, for the priesthood, so that we can function as priests, which prepares our hearts with regeneration, that we may be full of the fruit of faith in order to bring forth the gift of God, which is acceptable in His sight, that our hearts may be received, that we may be received back into the bosom of the Father. Okay, because He's setting within our own souls His own substance. Okay, and only light can enter back into a light. This is what the Lord is doing within us. Okay, it's absolutely incredible what He has in store for us. But because of malice and guile. Okay, there's a great many people that want to fight against truth. Okay, they want to say, well, no, you can't know truth, and you don't need an apostle. And there's many different doctrines to choose from. There's many different flavors under the sun, right? Okay, they want to point to the many devices of man and try to attach spiritual significance to those things, but they are worthless philosophies. Okay, they're not even profitably to be trampled underfoot. They're of no value whatsoever. Okay, now when he says desire, all right, in other words, desire his tools instead for growth, all right? So it has to do with an appetite for grace, which grows only through contact with these things. If your appetite for grace is not increasing by faith, then your appetite for the things of the world grow up and overshadow your faith, all right, while you're not watching. It's just like a vine which overtakes and smothers the things that it uses to advance itself. Okay, that's what a vine does. Okay, in order for a vine to grow, it has to smother other things and cause them to not grow. Okay, it kills the things that it grows over because it blocks them from what they need. Okay, so it's climbing up on them and using them to advance itself. All right. However, faith doesn't work like that, does it? Right? As your faith increases, uh, so do those around you benefit as well, right? Because through charity you increase others. The kingdom of God increases both within your heart, okay, and through your lips as you exercise your faith with charity, right? As concerning the priesthood, right? Our spiritual sacrifices of prophecy, right? This is our function in the priesthood. So this is that desire, okay, hungering for that grace, okay, that the Lord develops that appetite, and as you exercise your faith daily with these tools, that appetite increases, okay. And the neat thing is, as your appetite for grace increases, your appetite for those things of the world decreases. All right, they lose that power that they had to capture your attention fades, okay, um, so that because your focus being set within Christ, okay, you're working with that new power, okay, those other powers are a lesser power, okay, their voices become muted, all right? It's they used to call to you with quite a megaphone, okay, and the voice of Christ was a whisper, right? Well, that changes, okay, because as you become more accustomed to the voice of the Lord, right, and you function with the tools of the priesthood, those voices and the shouts of the things of the world which once dominated your attention, they they begin they begin to be a little bit more muffled and muted. Okay, it's not that they're gone. Okay, you still have to make choices. You still have to exercise your choices. Okay, as to which voice you will yield yourself to. Okay, but you'll notice that those voices fade away as the voice of the Lord continues to increase. Okay, and that comes from spiritual growth. And we talks about the sincere milk of the word. That has to do with sincere speaks of being genuine and true. Okay, that knowledge of his plan, which was issued directly from God for our separation, healing, and growth according to the design of Christ. All right, that's what he's talking about here. And he says, grow thereby, that this knowledge is what's going to nurture you. All right, you'll grow strong by this knowledge, and I can confirm that. Okay, just as all of you here in the assembly here can confirm that. All right, that this knowledge is profitable for our spiritual growth, isn't it? Okay, as we continue to exercise our faith with this knowledge, and stand justified before God, that we continue to experience spiritual growth. The grace of God continues to increase. Okay, that our understanding as concerning the plan of God continues to increase. Okay, and we're able to weigh the true spiritual value of these things which the Lord has made known to us. Okay, is concerning the tools of the priesthood, right? The knowledge, the whole stones of the altar, the boundaries. There's spiritual significance and value in each of those things. That God set boundaries to the knowledge of Christ, right, in order to provide a framework for our function in the priesthood. Okay, and this foundation, okay, is of spiritual significance because it's upon that foundation that we build. Okay, remember, apart from that foundation, we built with as it was on shifting sand.